So have you heard of this guy, Lord Miles?
I've only heard of him through like Twitter or sorry, X posts and stuff, but like I don't actually know too much about what's going on. I've seen some clips of him. But yeah,
Yeah,
tell me
I
more. Tell me
confess I
more.
don't know that much about this guy,
Oh
except
my
that
gosh,
he's like
additional context
he's a
galore.
crazy fucking guy. So like I don't know. I also have heard he's problematic, right?
Okay.
I think this guy was like, as an adventure YouTuber, I think is his self-described label. There was a moment where he was like kidnapped by the Taliban or something, and was like thought to be dead by the British government, and then it turned out I think he said he was voluntarily staying with the Taliban. He started selling Taliban merch. He is a problematic guy. He's a bit of a internet troll, if you will, but kind of constantly pushing the bar, if you will, on acceptable internet content. He's kind of like right out of a Black Mirror episode, to be honest
Wow.
with you, with just like the sort of stunts that this guy will do. So this market, though, is
Oh
a
my
good
god.
example of one where this question of conflict of interest comes into play. And this might be the first explicit example of someone who is named in a market breaking out of their own reality and changing their behavior in order to influence the outcome of that market. Or at least that is what's being speculated. I did confess I didn't follow this super closely as it was going down, but this market was stood up, and I believe this was sponsored by a sports betting or crypto betting website called Duel. And the premise of this, will Lord Miles complete his 40-day water fast in the desert, is that Lord Miles went into some desert somewhere in the Middle East. I think it's the hottest desert in the world. And was live streaming himself with solar panels, and purportedly going to attempt a 40-day water fast. Immediately when this market opened, the odds that he would complete it were very, very low. Odds then climbed. They really topped out at close to 75% likelihood that he would complete the water fast. And then they cratered. And the entire time that this market has existed, there's been controversy around it. For
Hmm.
starters, actually, I'll jump into the sort of timeline of things. But you can already see there's
Oh
multiple
my gosh,
clarifications to the
yeah.
Polymarket, multiple disputes to the UMA Oracle. There's so much happening around the market that I just went to Grok and asked Grok to give me the rundown. And I think it's given us like a decent timeline here. So without going through all of this, it's like, okay, the market was launched on July 4th.
Hmm.
This is assuming that Grok hasn't made any mistakes. And then there was an initial failure where Lord Miles quit within hours, citing that his equipment was overheating and he wouldn't be able to live stream. He abandoned the desert site, and Polymarket then clarified that they would allow a restart, simply because the project kind of hadn't even gotten off the ground. But of course, no buyers were protesting this.
Yeah.
It's like he already failed within a few hours, and now there's some clarification that there will be a restart.
And do we
Um,
know it's probably? I mean, I know you just pulled this up for Grok, but like, there's also probably a distinction between Polymarket and UMA, like resolvers or like people who are like voting on that, right?
Yeah, Polymarket reserves the right to step in and include clarifications that override the UMA protocol. I believe. I don't want to say that with
Wow.
certainty, and I think this is an instance where they did have to do that. Um, I'll quickly pull up. There was a good
I like
thread.
that. There's a line that says Trader Doma post a detailed thread calling it the dumbest market.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to pull up, because I think that thread gave a good amount of context as to what was happening. So we'll just quickly go to Doma's thread. The dumbest market on prediction markets is the Lord Miles promo that I am quoting. Long post ahead. This is, again, a long post. The guy arrived into a legit desert with all sorts of professional equipment, ready for weeks of fasting. He looked miserable and hot. He gave up on day one because, quote, my phone is getting too warm. He ended the stream within hours. He had blatantly failed within hours. No holders expected to be paid based on the abandonment. Abandonment, we would think, equals no wins. Polymarket then clarified that he would be allowed to restart the challenge. Um,
Wow.
let's see. He then booked himself, and some of this is conjecture, I think, because there's a lot of conjecture and speculation around what exactly has been happening with this market. But Doma writes that he booked himself in a luxury resort in the outskirts, in a resort area near a major highway. showed back up online in said resort with some grains of sand in the distance. If you squint, he indicated that the room itself was not for him. This, I think, was in between his reset, perhaps. He
Wow.
expanded his diet beyond electrolytes to include vitamins and supplements. There's just like so many sort of edge cases where
Yeah.
the resolution, the rules maybe are not clear enough, and there was a decent enough amount of volume in this market that I think it became really, really controversial. The craziest part is still to come, though. Let me jump back to Grok there. So mid to early July, a series of rule bends for which there's disputes, there's rule clarifications from Polymarket. Early scam accusations begin to surface in September. Then September 17th, radio silence begins. Actually, I think right before the radio silence, let me see if I have it. There was this on September 15th. Miles here says in this video clip, somebody from Polymarket has contacted me or a member of my staff offering $30,000 for me to end the fast. And they sent me a birthday cake. I think it's his birthday or something. In this video, he's looking at a birthday cake that we've already broken the fourth wall. Some Polymarket whale is tempting Lord Miles to break the fast and in fact bribing him to break the fast. So this market has already blown wide open into full-on conflict of interest territory, right?
Yeah.
And again, I think is one of the better examples of a market where the central actor in the market is now implicated in the market, and their behavior, even just in making this stream, is now the tail wagging the dog, right? He then beats the cake, says, "Of course I wouldn't do this. I'm not taking the bribe." Blah blah. And then we'll advance to September 18th, or excuse me, September 17th. Sudden radio silence. He announces a 2-hour offline break for electricity maintenance and generator switch, but promises to continue filming. He goes dark, no streams, posts, or proof of life. Mobile data at the resort remains active, undermining the excuse. Odds plummet from 68% yes to 18% yes as traders panic over the lack of evidence that he's even still in the desert, right? Then there's a controversy around it looked like he had gone active on Discord. Maybe he had, maybe he hadn't. One of the wildest developments comes on September 18th when this Twitter user at Monarch, who I believe, and they state in their own bio to be the owner of Duel,
A
the
destroyer of scammers.
website that had that had sponsored the entire market, presumably posted that he is dead and that he had fallen into a coma after unauthorized hospital glucose 4 and was pronounced dead in Riyadh. The market then absolutely crashed. I need to dig up that actual tweet. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Here's the tweet from Monarch.
Oh my gosh.
At this point, this story has gone mainstream enough. I mean, you can even see they got the old Twitter context here. His death is unconfirmed. At this point, we're getting Yahoo Finance news article clarifying that Lord Miles isn't dead. Polymarket scandal takes new turn, and then the latest in this entire saga is, let's see if I can find it, is this here from another X.com user. The story of the scammer Miles is coming to its logical end. He managed to deceive DGens out of 100K. We still don't know the exact amount since he used multiple accounts and launched a scam shitcoin. In his farewell message, he announced that he intends to go on a fast again. He basically took to Twitter, Lord Miles did, and clarified that he failed to complete the fast on day 34. But, sorry, this isn't even the craziest bit. See if I can find it here. So the latest news as of this morning, or excuse me, the latest news as of yesterday is that Lord Miles was arrested on terrorism charges in
What?
Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia. I won't pretend to have confirmed any part of this story because there's so many twists and turns, right? But Key News EN writes, Lord Miles arrested in Saudi on terrorism charges amid Polymarket betting chaos. The British adventurer and YouTuber has once again drawn attention due to his high-stakes betting event on Polymarket. And at this point, there's rampant accusations that he, was fixing the market, failed the fast intentionally, had built up large, no positions. unconfirmed by me independently, right? But there's like multiple scandals. I mean, someone else said he launched a crypto token while doing this. He had not been heard from in days. Remember, he had gone completely dark. And then, yeah, this news account shares that, let's see, the market had fluctuated wildly. Polymarket faces scrutiny with users criticizing it for allowing such high risk, even life or death markets. I think that's a fair criticism. And there's
Wow.
not really a ton of clarity as to the arrest. I saw elsewhere, I think that it was speculated that this was like he was like swatted in some way. Um,
That
and
is.
I basically said that he failed to pass, but like you could do an entire Vice documentary miniseries on what's going on.
Yeah, and I'll look forward to seeing that because I'm sure there's like probably so much more that we're not even like aware of. And I think that it might call for, we've talked about it before, but we probably should do an episode around um yeah, like value, like or speculation of insider trading, the value of like a prediction market itself. Like yeah, like let's say for example this went smoothly, right? And the person like he did or didn't complete the fast, like what does that tell us at the end of the day? You know, it's like it's entertainment, right? Like,
Yes.
but
Yeah. It's actually, I think, kind of right out of an episode of Black Mirror to be betting on
for
whether or not
sure,
a adventure YouTuber will complete a 40-day fast. I mean, I would be inclined to think that we won't see as many markets like this that name individual actors, especially when it can be so easily manipulated. But also when, yeah, the societal utility, I guess, is questionable.
yeah, definitely.